All right, my friends, welcome to the Awaken Beauty podcast. I am Cassandra, your organic beauty clinical hypnotherapist and biofeedback practitioner. And let me tell you, it is Lion Gate Sunday. So all of you that are listening to this at a later time, believe me, we are syncing our energy in this time and this place outside of time and space. And I want to just start with a little bit of pre-framing. Now, we know that trauma, emotions, stress, and consciousness and energy all influence our physical, mental, and emotional well-being. But getting to the root is dismissed as woo and often goes unaddressed. Now, we are all entangled in this interconnected web of information, and the human body is part of this web, and our health is dependent upon the body's ability to process this information energetically. So you'll want to listen to the end of today's episode to discover how you can start to quickly and easily bring cutting edge, my friends, research-based solutions that addresses the missing link of regenerative energetic health into your very own home. Now, trust me, my guests and I know that the universal language of quantum energy is complex, but it's important to know that this is the one multidimensional language that is understood by all of life forms. So I personally leveraged quantum technology for 3 years, and I wouldn't be able to help clients as deeply as I can if it weren't with the ability to tune the energy field. So with that said, my friend Philip is back for a second time to the Awaken Beauty podcast to discuss the incredible advancements and upgrades in his frequency technology. Now, a little bit about Philip, and you can go back to listen to the previous episode where we get into who Philip is and kind of the foundation work. But Philip is the founder and CEO of Leela Quantum Tech, a Kundalini yoga teacher, energy healer, and pioneer in modern frequency medicine. Now, in parallel to a successful international business career, Philip has done his diligence by walking through blockages and barriers that prevented him to truly connect with his true self. And with that, he started to also see energy fields and developed his unique skills as a healer. His core competency is to transform energetic blockages and to open the hidden treasures within one's self. Now, during his business career, he worked as an executive for several well-known companies, interesting and oddly enough, T-Mobile, where he served as vice president, Intent EMF, which we are here to absolutely neutralize. So welcome back, Philip. Thank you so much for being patient with our technology. You're on your phone, I'm on my computer, but we are here and the energy is vibrant. So how are you?
Thanks so much, Cassandra, for having me. I'm really excited to be here today. And thank you also for the introduction. So I'm really looking forward to our chat.
Yeah, a lot has happened in the world since we've last spoken, and so there's so many things that we could really open up, but I really wanted to have you back on today to really start to open up the conversation around quantum technology. And always talk about energy and spirituality, and science is just to me the ability to catch up with what we know and start to unlock how this all happens. And what you've done with your company is exceptional. Now, I review technology and quantum all the time, but what you do is exceptional. So maybe we could open up a little bit with a really brief history about where the company is now with quantum, where your advancements are, and we can just talk about, first and foremost, what is quantum energy and how are we able to tap into that? So I'll let you take it from there.
Sounds great. Yeah. So where are we today? I mean, we're always swamped in a way, because even for us, we have found out so much about what we can do and what others can do with our technology, which is, for the listeners that don't know, it's actually the ability to create completely pure, highly concentrated quantum energy fields, or actually quantum energy space within our infinity block or quantum block. And with that, we can create various products, but we also make this technology available to others. So yeah, we are at a point where we have done a lot of research. We continue to focus on a lot of research, but we're also tapping into completely new things that we haven't been able to cover in the past. So it's very, very exciting. It's still somewhat of a green field. And yeah, I hope we can dissect it a little bit today and talk about some of the aspects. Now, what is quantum energy? You know, maybe quantum energy is not even the right word for that, and I'm saying that on purpose because it really shouldn't be about words. It's rather about the energy itself, which is very hard to be described. You know, you can ask 100 people that have experienced this type of energy, and they all may have a different explanation for you. And we had another podcast where we actually tried to scientifically get very close to that. Now, a way to look at it is actually the life force energy that, you know, I think people can relate to what that is. And that's something obviously that we need, that we can create, whether it's through yoga, through breath work, or, you know, just other things that we do. We need this type of energy to exist. And we need it at minimum as much as we need water and air to breathe, water to drink. And so with this concentrated quantum energy field, which you could also call quantum ether field, concentrated ether field, or life force energy field, highly concentrated consciousness field, really the words are secondary. You can tap into the source of energy and get more energy yourself for whatever you need physically and energetically to kind of move on your inner path. And yeah, so it has real physical impacts. You know, the scientists still are looking into this. How can we actually measure the field inside the plates? But scientists have it very easy to actually find out what are the results, because we can figure out exactly, okay, what impact does it have on the blood. You can look at it under dark field microscopy at what impact it has on the heart rate variability. It's a very common way in science. If you can't really describe the process scientifically yet, then you just measure the outcomes, and then you can explain what happens there. And that's what we've been doing, quite frankly.
Yeah, I love it so much. And, you know, just as stagnant water, if it doesn't have movement and the shift, it becomes very stagnant and very unhealthy. You know, I talk a lot about the 5 energetic fields within the cosmos of the body, and how we have this micro hologram that we have around our energy body. And then we also live in this macro energetic field. And, you know, to dismiss how energy affects us, I really believe that we're in a time in society, and the ability to have research such as yours to really take, you know, what energy healers within your cohort, part of your team, is able to see and is able to recognize into what you said, using blood microscopy and using these different modalities to then start to measure it. I think I love what you shared about HRV, and you know, HRV is really, for those that don't know, the ability to recover and how quickly you recover. So people with the lower HRV tend to have a little bit more of adrenal fatigue and what have you. So this ability to recover is combined with our energetic input and output. So could you say a little bit more about what you've done with this HRV aspect and how you've measured that?
Yeah, so first of all, we didn't measure it because we don't want to be the ones that actually, I mean, we do tests, and we certainly work with our healer network a lot to develop the products, to validate them, and to figure out exactly, you know, what is the desired outcome, and then really test against that. And once it's 100%, then we're starting to actually do other further tests. But then the scientific tests, we always give away our products to institutes or doctor offices, because they should be independent and they should test those products. And it's each time it's again fascinating in a way. And you know, we never really know what comes out of it, right? So we know the products work and all of that, but we didn't know that the dark field microscopy pictures would be as great as they were when they came back. Same with the heart rate variability study. So that one was specifically done by the so-called EGEF Institute in Europe. It's the largest independent research and testing institute for all things EMF in Europe. And so they have various different testing methods, right? So they also test the actual just blocking effects, which is relatively easy to measure. But then the heart rate variability is where they invited a group of test persons. I think they had 12 or 14. And then they measured their heart rate variability, exposed them to EMF quite a bit, and then measured the heart rate variability again. And then they introduced our product. So let's take the Heal capsule, so-called Heal capsule, as an example. The people would then wear the Heal capsule, and then they tested the heart rate variability. And it was a study that they didn't just test it once. So they also wanted to see, okay, what happens if the people keep those necklaces for 3 hours, 5 hours, and wear it for 2 days in a row, for example. Whereas we told them to not wear them at night because, you know, as you know, that can sometimes be too stimulating. And yeah, so it was very interesting because in 100% of the cases, the capsule helped significantly. So it was very easily shown on the graphs. But then even more so, the longer you would wear it, the better it would do to you. So it was quite interesting, and that was something we had not known, right? So we didn't know. Okay, so you know, how quickly does it act with these very quickly and instant? But then again, after 6 hours, it was even better than after 3 hours, and so that was quite interesting. Yeah, that was pretty much what the EGIF Institute did. They measured the heart rate variability, and then they reported the results back to us, and we got the report, and you can actually read through it on the website also.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I wanted to show this is, so Philip, this is the Heal capsule. So you can see this beautiful brass. And when you open it, there are spheres in it. Now, I will say that when I first started wearing the capsule, you can see these spheres. I typically put, you know, 1 or 2 of them in the capsule before I had the cards, and put them underneath my pillow at night. Now, let's talk a little bit about, you know, the field and how the body can read this energy. Is that it's really kind of an expression of these different energies that are instilled into these little spheres here. So this has the vitamin and mineral, the 84 blend. I believe it also has the Lord of France water in it. So could you share a little bit? We'll start with these beautiful necklaces with the spheres of them and what's in it and why that's really important, as it helps to regenerate the body over time with the micronutrients.
Yeah. Yeah, so the capsule itself is charged with 3 different frequencies. One is it's a bio-base frequency blend, which basically is comprised of the most important vitamins, minerals, and organic plant extracts. It's not 84, it's about, I think, 77 or 78.
Okay.
And yeah, we actually chose that one because it's a very specific mix that you can actually also physically take as a supplement. And it's been developed by scientists over a 30-year period, and some really good scientists actually. Not saying it's the best out there, but it's the best that we have been able to find over the many, many years of research. And then we, you know, created the frequency of that. We took that frequency, and then it's the primal human healing frequency included as that, which basically activates the inner healer, the inner healing powers, and reminds us that we can heal ourselves. And then there's also the primal healing water frequency. What does that mean? So it's sort of the source code of the water, right? So the purest water frequency you can find, right? And that is what's in there as well. And the body, as you know, is to a large extent water. So it is obviously pretty helpful if we have that around. And then the spheres, they're just charged with pure quantum energy, and they boost the frequencies outward so that we can leverage it, in our energetic system and the body as a whole. And it's very important to note it's pure quantum energy. It's not, we don't use any brute force whatsoever. So it's completely harmonious with the human cells and with our energy system, which is important because you can cause energetic distress if you combine quantum energy with brute force, and then you may have some benefits, but you at the same time also get some detrimental effects, right? So that's not really what you want. It's like eating a huge bucket of bad chocolate and at the same time eating a really nice organic salad, right? It's kind of like, a wash. So we focus on the really healthy version.
Could you give an example of like brute force? Like what would that be? Give an example of that versus this technology.
Magnets or electricity as an example. So if you were to interfere with this field or do something with that with magnets, then you cause energetic distress. You also limit the quantum consciousness levels and so on. So not saying that magnets are bad. No, I mean, magnets just for their own purpose are pretty cool, right? So they have lots of amazing use cases, but again, not in conjunction with a quantum energy field if you want to go into quantum energy healing. Same with electricity. So electricity would also not be helpful in this sense.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think that it's just important. I got to fly and it's driving me nuts. It's important to remember that, just the holographic of the human body, the distortions always start in the energetic field that then, that those 5 energetic bodies that then start to impact the physical field. So that's what I love about wearing this. Not only is it reminding my body of its homeostasis, bringing that back on board, but it's also helping to neutralize the EMF frequency. So maybe you could speak a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that's actually something that all of our products do, no matter which product. They all neutralize EMF to some extent, some to a larger extent, and we have even EMF protective clothing, which is charged with quantum energy. And then on top of that, it really completely blocks EMF, any form of EMF to way over 99.9%. So that's then for the extremely sensitive people and concerned people. Other than that, we have a specific EMF protection card. It's a frequency card that's also for very sensitive people in regards to EMF. Which they can then leverage in various ways. Other than that, the Heal capsule, has been proven to neutralize and harmonize EMF. And of course, we have the quantum and infinity block, which is kind of the ultimate technology, really, that we have developed. And you can have that in your home, and it basically covers your whole home and produces a very nice energy field. And as part of that, it harmonizes EMF in that whole house, if you will. And then the infinity block would go even further, because you could even have a farm and it would cover, depending on how large the farm is, but it covers a lot of that farm.
Have you guys been able to measure the distance of the infinity block?
Yes, it's actually 1 kilometer radius. Wow. So 1 kilometer is like, I think, 0.65 miles roughly. Wow. So that is quite significant. Yeah, it is. But at the same time, people need to understand the real concentration, the quantum energy space is inside the plates only. And then outside it's still a strong field. It's a very, very supportive field, but it's not as strong as in the plates. And then about, let's say, half of what I described, half of that kilometer, a little bit more, 60%, in that radius, all EMF really gets neutralized and harmonized. But if you go towards the outside, you could still like see the field, but it wouldn't be strong enough to harmonize Wi-Fi if it's more than 0.35 miles away. So that's it does a little bit there, but it's not strong enough.
Yeah, I find so much value in the infinity block, and what you guys have been able to do with that. And we'll talk a little bit more about the power of it and the use cases, but just to kind of go back to, so everybody knows, because I really want them to be able to, and we'll have a code for everybody to be able to tap into the website and really look at the versatile tools that you guys supply. So I brought these guys. You want to talk about grounding? So these are the lovely socks that I have from Leela. I actually have a tiny little hole in them because I've worn them so much. So I'm gonna have to get a pair.
Let us know. We'll send you new ones.
I mean, so I mean, this is kind of a grounding feature, right? I am, you know, on my feet all day. It's really, really great to be able to wear those. It's kind of like my insurance plan. I also wear this guy every day, and then I have a sleep mask at night, and I take my cards, and I think I have the inner peace and then the sleep card, and I actually place them on both sides of my temple, and I place my cards on my temple and infuse it into my energetic zone when I go to sleep at night. And so I just feel so blessed to have all of these tools, because, you know, we're living in this space right now where a lot of people are still kind of in their home after the 2 years from the Rona. And so I think it's really, really important as these 5G towers to continue to go up, that we can really leverage this kind of technology to just kind of neutralize our space and keep our energy protected. We have leaking energy all the time, whether it's emotional drainage or it's EMFs or it's you know, somebody stealing your energy in your home. But I just really love that these are practical tools. So for everybody, we've got clothing, we've got hats, socks, t-shirts. Philip also has the cards, and then each card has a different kind of feature to it, whether it's by hormones or sleep. And then I want you to talk a little bit more about the cards that you have coming up. But let's tap back into the infinity block. Now, this is kind of like the Illuminati feature of your company. And, you know, you can place the block and it helps radiate and, you know, neutralize EMF. But how about imprinting certain frequencies of items, or actually placing, you know, your body parts in there, and just some of the use cases that you guys have been able to share?
Yeah, so I can actually also show this here. Now, I must say that this is a infinity block of the 4th generation already. So this is
Wow.
a lot stronger than the basic infinity block, but that one is already strong. And because, you know, we continue to upgrade our levels here where we are, we have this version now, and we have also another version which is a little further over there. And so again, you can just have that sit in your home, and then it would work on its own. You don't have to do anything, and you just are provided with the benefits, and it has already a positive impact on the cells, you know, on your well-being in general. You know, you can measure that also. We've done other studies with the Besa Institute, for example, and they would study whole families, right? And would measure all these families, including their pets that they have. And then they would put a block in their home, and then they would measure them again over basically a whole week and see what happens. And it's quite profound, and it's definitely measurable and very significant in a positive way. So that's just what it does. But then you can leverage it even more. And by the way, this is, you can use this basically forever. It's not that it needs to be recharged. You don't need to, you know, buy anything else. And you can actually make some products yourself. So you can imprint quantum energy into objects. So if you have
Listen
ideas,
up, my friends. This is the juice. This is the juice.
Yeah, so the imprinting of the quantum energy is the one thing that people love, because you can basically bring your whole home to shine more, right? You could take your wine glasses and put them in and charge them. Take some of your plates or your silverware, for example. Silverware goes really well because obviously any metal holds quantum energy very well. And most people feel it in one way or another. If you're a seer, then you see a whole lot, about the energy that is shifting. But most people feel, oh my God, it's a finer energy. Or some people that are not so sensitive, they may just at least see it looks more beautiful now, right? So, and it's really the case because the energetic structure is optimized. You can do the same thing if you have a ring, for example, or you have a Rolex or some other watch. Actually you could we tested this with a very, very cheap watch of our son, uh that he had gotten at some point. It's a golden watch, but not gold, right? It's some, I don't know, you pay $20 somewhere at a stand and get that. And you have no idea how that thing looked after it was charged. It looked as if it was worth a whole lot more. And that's kind of what you do, because you can upgrade things, because what the energy does, and that's the best way to explain it, is it invites you into your own completeness, physically and energetically, and it supports you on that as well. Now, that is for a human, or it's also for an animal, also for a plant. But with objects, it's also that it optimizes its structure in a way, as if the best can come out. You know what I mean? So take a crystal as an example. Some people may know, what is it if you have a rose quartz in your hands, right? And then if you go shopping for crystals, you may find in a shop that maybe 60% of those crystals, they're not like, oh, I don't need to take those home because they don't really have great energy. They're sort of dormant. They don't really shine. But if you put them in there, yeah, you bring out the best of that crystal, and within a minute already, you have that crystal suddenly woken up. And it sounds crazy, but that's exactly what it does, and that's exactly what's happening. So you could put raspberries in there, and you charge your groceries, your nuts, you put water in there, your orange juice, whatever you want, you can put in there, and it's very, very fast, actually. So that is another use case. You can certainly put body parts inside. That's what a lot of people do. And yeah, they do it for various reasons. Again, we're not here to say that this device heals anything, and it's also not a medical device, certainly not intended to diagnose, treat, or prevent any disease. Now that we're through that disclaimer,
That.
we have lots of people that try and think with that, right? Whether they put their knee in when it has hurt and it suddenly doesn't hurt anymore, whether they in general just they may have arthritis or Lyme or something like that, and then they just put their hands in every morning and put their feet in every evening. And that is kind of what's been happening also in regards to Lyme. Actually, we've gotten so much positive feedback from so many different people that at some point, and then they ask you, do you have more data on this? Do you have more data on this? Because this is amazing how I feel. All the fatigue is gone and all that. And then we said, okay, we'll do a more formal study. So we're actually currently preparing a study with a few doctors here in the US
Wow.
with chronic Lyme disease patients. And we'll work with the Infinity Block actually in regards to that. So yeah, that is one thing. You can, because it has an impact on your body and it to your wellness, but it also has an impact on your consciousness, on your energetic system. And that's something that is underestimated by a lot of people, and by many people also in today's world. It's something rather ignored, right? Because we are the physical, we see the physical, and we feel comfortable in the physical, and everything that goes beyond that, whether it's in other people or in around or with ourselves, it tends to be, it's become unnormal for so many people to feel that. And with that, maybe there's a little fear. Okay, what if that is actually true, that I'm so much bigger, so much more than this physical body here.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's, once you're getting over that, there's so much to explore, and that's where the real fun in life actually starts. And we're at this time right now. And what I just said is true, but the opposite is true too, because so many people are now finding the way back to their inner self, and certainly the outer circumstances play their role in that. Not saying that that is quote unquote good in any way, but certainly what is good is that people start to remember who they are. They start to figure out, okay, I can't trust the stuff that's going on in the outer world. I have to go inside. I have to see what is my truth.
Yeah.
And then also, I don't need to live my life for someone else, or because someone else tells me to live it this way or another way. You're supposed to live your life the way it's the right thing for you. And everybody has their own path. And to finding that out and then proceeding that way is a little bit of a challenge, but it's also the ultimate freedom, because that's really what you're here for, is to live your life and not someone else's life.
Yeah, I love that so much. So much. It was a couple of things there. When we look at technology like this, or if you put a price tag on technology like this, and you kind of double guess it, because it's like, could that be true? And that's why I love what you guys are doing with real use cases. And my gosh, if we can support and help people with Lyme's, it is such a debilitating, I'm not going to call it dis-ease, frequency that just really suppresses the body. And I was doing a short lesson last night, a recording on the nocebo and placebo effect. And there's a story in Joe Dispenza's book about a man named Dr. Wright, who is a doctor, and his client found out about this mystery drug that they were giving to these people with lymphoma cancer. And so the doctor agreed to give it to him. He knew it was a placebo. And this man had tumors the size of oranges in his goiter and his body, and about 4 different locations. And within 2 weeks of the placebo infusion that he got, the tumors were gone. So they sent him home, and he read in the newspaper about 3 weeks later that this experiment drug was totally bunk, and his tumors came back. So it was the power of belief, right? So he goes back. Dr. Wright says, "You know what? We figured it out. You got a bad batch, but we're going to give you the superpowered batch." Same thing occurred. So I wanted to bring that story into this conversation, because when you dig yourself in enough of the research, when you understand that the time that we live in is so full of information that we've lost our ability to really tune into that energetic field, and then start to applaud companies like yours that help us, just even seeing the infinity block reminds me that, wow, I have such a powerful energetic field. And I absolutely agree with you, is that we are at this point in time in history that consciousness and speed of our energetic power is moving so fast that we really need to find time with each other to really talk about the science, utilize it, and really start to restore ourselves within our own power. The power is within our hands, and these tools help us just remind our body back of its power that it has. And why I think that's so important is because the amount of stress, the amount of cognitive overload, the amount of deficiency in our food, we really do, I believe, need to start using modalities like this so that we can recover really quickly based on the ratios that we're in right now in this kind of holding space as we come out the other side. So I'm just so grateful of your research. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to throw that in there, that if you guys are having a hard time believing about the scientific discoveries that Philip and his team have brought to this world, it is so real, and I've felt it and I feel it on my feet. But I guess my question is, where are we going with Leela? I know I'm going to be ordering the block. I've gotten enough of my proof with all of these modalities, and so have my clients. They send me photos of their necklaces that they order from the website, which is so fun. But you also have water, the water devices. But in the future, let's talk a little bit about, and back to that, structured water, my friends. So if you think about the infinity block, and you think about food and the food that you're putting into that item, think about the stress and the frequency and the imprint that it has from that far off place that it does to get onto your plate, and how you can just rejuice it up and just bring it to its full fruition, and so much more nutrients that you're going to be able to absorb in the body is really so profound, so profound. So back to you, where are we going with the technology? What's ahead And then we'll tie in a little bit about how you and I are working with Roman and your team to actually start working with mental health industry, autism, ADHD, to really start to support the brain, the neurotransmitters, so that we can get that nervous system back into a homeostatic state. Over to you.
Yes. So, well, so the infinity block that I just have shown, that's basically the ultimate version of the technology if you get the package, the infinity block package, because then you get two, and then you are basically self-sufficient until the rest of your life, and even your grandchildren can still leverage it because you can upgrade the level of the quantum energy space of these blocks. So yourself, it's very, very simple to do actually, and it's not rocket science, and you're basically then completely independent of anybody else. You can, so if you do an upgrade, your one block will be 7 times more powerful than the one before, and so on and so on. And there's no limit to it. So literally you can do that quite a bit, even though it's not recommended to do it more than every 2-3 months. So that's that. However, in terms of sizes, there's not necessarily in terms of quantum consciousness levels or power, because again, you can already do that today to an infinite extent. But in terms of sizes, so we're actually now working with an amazing company together, which is I can't reveal yet the name of that company, but it's a very successful and very, very interesting organic juice bar brand. And they started to experiment with our products and just love our products, like absolutely love them. And then they experimented, okay, so how great it is if you put a smoothie inside. So now they actually asked if we can make a customized larger version for them so that they could put 5 juices or 5 smoothies in there at the same time, and they would have it in all their stores. And so that is something that we're working on, something that's larger in size. Certainly we've been asked, and we've also ourselves been thinking about a really big version, like sort of like a walkthrough, because what happens also is, like, if you put your hands in there, I mean, you clean your aura. It almost happens instantly. But so from that standpoint, you wouldn't need a large device really, but it would be kind of cool if people would just like walk through, and like within 10 seconds of walking through, or you stand in there for like 10 seconds, you get this energy boost, and your aura is suddenly clean of all
Having
the
a
junk.
vision of Superman walking into the day, I'm like, this is so cool. Like, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, so those things are certainly around. On the other hand, we also need to focus a little bit, and one of the focus areas really is more studies. So we're preparing for this Lyme study that I just talked to you about. We'll do another dark field microscopy study, and we've done some before that were all 100% positive, but they were done in Europe. So we're now going to do one in the US to also mix that up a little bit. And then we're running currently a study in India, which is a real clinical study run by a few doctors in India, and it's in regards to autistic kids, which is a very interesting study. So that'll continue for another couple of months, roughly, I think 2 or 3 months, and then we can start looking into the results of that. But that's certainly exciting. And we will do more studies. So we are looking into animal studies, plant studies, and more to come. And besides that, that's kind of like the last field that we're tapping into. Is we know that the energetic structure of objects or products or substances is optimized if you put them inside the quantum block or in the infinity block. We don't know what that does to the performance of various products, and you could think of multiple products that are, for have a certain use case. Let's say take gasoline for motorbikes. Our son rides dirt bikes, and he's pretty professional about it. He's just trained with a former world champion for 4 weeks, and so he's really into that. So we've gotten to know quite some people in that area, and for them it certainly matters totally, like which type of gas you use, and there's lots of performance testing going on. Okay, and we can see energetically if you put gas or motor oil inside, its structure is optimized. It's more pure, and it is finer, and it energetically looks as a stronger, better product. Now we need to go to the next level with this and actually do performance tests and see, can that also be seen in the physical world? Like you can see under dark field microscopy, if I put my hands in there, that my blood is optimized. Does that really happen with the gas or with any other product that you could think of, for example? And so product testing and research in that regard is something that we'll tap into a little bit more. That's definitely on the horizon. And
So
then,
go ahead.
yeah, and then obviously, what we'll work on with you is the ADHD, and that is something we haven't really covered yet, right? That we work with a network of healers together in order to develop specific frequencies that people can leverage for certain use cases, right? If people have a lot of anxiety and stress, for example, we have developed the inner peace card. We have a sleep and rest card. We have an abundance card. We have a DNA and cell protector card. I'm not going into this too deeply here in the public, but the title says something. Right now, it's at the moment it's our best seller by far and
Which
large.
one?
It's called the DNA and cell protector.
Ooh, cool.
It's it's in the current times, it's fairly useful. Let's say it that way. Um,
That it is.
I let everybody read in between the lines. You can go on the website, actually, go to the shop, click frequency cards, go to the list, or you even find it as a separate product, the DNA and cell protector, and there's a description there. That's as far as we can say publicly about that. And yeah, and then you had the idea, okay, so what about ADHD? Can we research together and create a frequency that would support these people? Again, we're not here to heal anything, right? We're here to support and to trigger self-healing mechanisms and to help neutralize imbalances, let's say it that way. And so that's just another card we're currently working on, but certainly that will take quite some time until that would be released, because we would need to go through some testing, and that's what we'll do over the next few weeks.
Yeah, and I think seeing the benefits of what I've been able to experience, and then seeing all these other use cases, and what I know about ADHD, which is really just it's a vast array of, let's call it mental health or cognitive disharmony. And, with my functional medicine background and seeing how there's so much layover as to chronic stress, there's layover to vitamin and mineral deficiencies, overabundance of copper, overabundance of lithium. And when you, just like the nutrients found in here, to be able to broadenly expand that energy and help the body come back into resonance, a stress body, a mind that is ADHD, that has trapped trauma, or any of these, when we really bring back what the coherence is in the brain and the body, that distractedness, that comorbidities of stress and depression, these are really just a lot of these other aspects of what your cards are already starting to heal. But I really wanted to work with you on really fine-tuning this complex that we have with ADHD, which also stretches into the autistic conversation. So there's layovers here, but I really feel my message is for those with ADHD is it really comes down to energy management. And if we can first start to control that energy, then the scatteredness and the emotional uncontrol starts to get better, and you get back into control of your body. And so there's just so many layers here that I'm really, really excited to test it. So as far as like the autism, in India, ADHD, your autism, and a lot of these different things, it is, you are casted out as a societal member and a family member when you have mental health issues in India. So I'm so happy to hear that you're working with someone. What does that framework look like? And then we'll kind of tie down today's conversation.
You mean what the framework of the study looks like?
The autistic, yeah. So what are you guys looking to work with, and what are his hopes?
Yeah, so this is also something that actually didn't come from us initially, because we actually didn't even look into autism at all. That wasn't even on our horizon. So it was actually reported to us by various customers. So we had, one customer who has an autistic kid, and that kid has been in treatment for a very, very long time. And there's always one person that evaluates this kid like on a daily basis, because there's certain, I guess they call them like behaviors, and they have different behaviors, and then they rate them, and then they always look, okay, so how can we help them to get better in these, and so they actually experimented with that, because they had someone leverage the infinity block, to help their child. And then interestingly enough, so the treatment always happened on a Monday, and that actually happened through quantum entanglement, which is another thing that definitely works. It sounds like, oh my god, how that should that work? And yeah, you can test it, you can verify it, you can actually feel it yourself, quite frankly. And that's how that was done. And that kid certainly had no clue that that was going on. And Mondays used to typically be the worst days of that kid all around across the board. And then on Mondays, that treatment happened. And suddenly that Monday became the best day of all of the days. And it actually kept improving. So that was quite fascinating. And the dad was so happy. And he actually wrote a few posts in our user group on Telegram, which you got the link, so you're happy to share the invite with the audience. And then we heard from a few other people in regards to that, and then we were approached by a bunch of doctors from India that are, they do Western medicine, but it's really what they're practicing nowadays is the functional medicine, which is great. So they can cover it all, but I think their heart and mind is at the right place.
Yeah.
And they were proactively reaching out to us and asking if we could help them with a study. And so we're now actually really supporting the study. We've gave them products for this, and so they work with autistic kids on a regular basis. They have always, I think, 24 kids or so enrolled in their program that they do. And so in this case, there's no other treatment. It's just that. And so India is interesting. So we wouldn't have done it here in the US, to be honest, or elsewhere. And I also told them, hey, this is not a medical device, and we're also not interested in this being a medical device. But in India, it's different. So it's it's a subtle energy device, right? And India is in that sense very, very open to that. And so this is an official clinical study in India, which is running through a review board and everything. So it's really fully official and registered. But there you can do that. Right here, you would have to go into a completely different realm in that regard. And yeah, so this is how it happens, because we're happy to support doctors when they run a study and do whatever we can to support it. And we do some of our studies we initiate on our own when we know, okay, there's something that we need to follow. At the same time, we're a small self-funded company, so we can't boil the ocean. So we need to also manage where we can put our resources. But yeah, I think studies will always be a very big part of what we do, because we want to help the community with information and to find out more about what is possible.
I think that's so profound. And, to that point, when you are launching, a small but mighty company like yours, this is the point where you really start to, and I'm so happy for you, where you really start to hit that, what we call a hockey stick in the economic structure, where you research, you leverage money, you invest, and boom, you start getting that traction because people start to recognize, and you are magnetizing them in, specifically around doctors. Because what's so interesting is that we've leveraged pharmaceutical, we've gone big pharma, we've gone to all these different modalities. It really does come back down to energy, my friend. And so I'm so happy for you. I'm really excited about different things that we're going to be working on in the future. And I know that you and I have been conversing about this for a really long time. And it takes time for timing to happen and whatnot, just like you're doing with all of your other people that you're working with. So I thank you for that. Philip, I guess, this brings us to the close right now. I know people are going to be really, really anxious to go to the website. We'll go ahead and get a code from you. I'm sure it's here in the near future, and put that into the show notes. But everybody go to Leela. So it's LEELAQ.com. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Awesome. And so is there anything else that you wanted to share with us today on the Awaken Beauty podcast?
Well, I want to just thank the listeners and also you, because again, we talked about that initially. The subtle energy is something that it takes initially a little bit of courage to tap into that and to be open to that. And yeah, I can just congratulate everybody that is making that move, because yeah, that's where the real fun starts. So yeah, just follow your heart.
Mhm. Yeah, it certainly is. The highest form of energy is really your unique energy, my friends, and really bring it back into optimization. So, we're not trying to replicate anything else or try to find shortcuts. It's really starting to use the tools to benefit you, to harness your own energy and become the best that you can. And Philip does that every single day. His community of healers are so incredible, and his board and their research. So, I couldn't send you to any other company that I really respect. I've followed you for quite a while, which I'm always up in your DMs, bothering you. But thank you so much, Philip. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the show notes. Thanks for your time today. And for everybody, thank you so much for listening to the Awaken Beauty podcast. I hope you found value here today. Remember to go to LEELAQ.com. I'll go ahead and get probably a discount code in there for you. Follow them on Instagram and all of the future incredible work that they're going to be doing and we're going to be doing together. So with that said, thanks for listening. And until next time, get sleep and always bring your sexy back. All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks.